I want to thank the makers of Central Intelligence for getting this song stuck in my head. Never gonna get, never gonna get, never gonna get, never gonna get, whoa, 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 whoa. Central Intelligence, directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. This movie is the new comedy that came out recently, which I saw with my dad for Father's Day. And the tagline for this movie is, this movie has a little heart and a big Johnson. Jeez. It's basically about these two high school classmates, Bob Stone, played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Kevin Hart's character, Calvin Joyner, who, when they graduated high school back in 1996, Bob Stone, or Bob Weirdick as he was called back in high school, got humiliated in front of the whole class by some bullies, and Kevin Hart's character, who is voted most likely to succeed, he was like the most popular guy in high school, was the only guy that pretty much stood up for him. When Bob gets humiliated in front of the whole class by being thrown out during their last rally naked, Calvin gives Bob his Letterman jacket to cover himself up with in order to protect his decency. We cut to 20 years later to 2016 now. Calvin is now an accountant. He has married his high school sweetheart, Maggie, played by Danielle Nicolette, and they are having some marital problems. Maggie wants to go to the high school reunion, but Calvin really doesn't because he feels he hasn't really made himself into the success that he imagined himself to be, and being an accountant is not what he imagined himself to be when he was in high school. He thought he was going to be doing something greater. Then he meets up with his classmate, Bob Stone. Bob Stone contacts him through Facebook, and when Calvin sees him, sees that Bob has lost all the weight that he had back in high school and gained it back in muscle, so he looks very big and strong, and of course being played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of course he's going to be big and strong. Then Calvin finds out that Bob is in the CIA and he's gotten himself into some trouble, and he's undercover trying to catch this bad guy named the Black Badger. So him and Calvin have to work together to find out who this villain is. Meanwhile, the CIA is going after Bob Stone because they think he's the bad guy. The lead CIA person is played by Amy Ryan, Agent Pamela, and that's pretty much our movie. Now, when I saw the trailer for this movie, I didn't really think of this movie to be all that good of a film from the looks of the trailer, but I was curious to see it because I do like Kevin Hart. I do think he's a pretty funny guy. And Dwayne Johnson is a very good actor at times. He does have great charisma, and he can be very talented, although sometimes he can do a bad performance as well in some films, like Hercules. That movie was not good. So it all depends upon the movie and the script and the direction, I guess. And this movie was pretty good. I did like this film, and so did my dad. Now, Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson have great comedic chemistry in this movie, and it is a bit of a switch to see Kevin Hart be the straight man and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson be the comic in the film. Usually, if you think of Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson being together in a buddy comedy movie, you would think that Kevin Hart would be the comic and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson be the straight guy, but it's flipped. So that's interesting and posed for some great comedic chemistry. And these guys worked very well together. The action in the movie was done very well too. The supporting cast, although, was not all that good. Amy Ryan, I thought, was very good in the movie. And then you have Danielle Nicolette, who was okay in the film, but really, you could almost put anybody in that role, really. There wasn't anything special about her role, and there wasn't any chemistry between her and Kevin Hart, really, for me to get invested in their relationship. And as for the other actors that show up in the film, I don't want to spoil who else shows up in the film because it's a bit of a surprise of who some of the other actors that show up in this film. I was a little shocked at some of the other actors that show up in this film. I want people to be shocked when they go into this film. Now, I do like the fact that this movie has a good message about bullying, and I did like how that was done. But then when you add the fact that it involves the CIA and it gets a little bit political with the movie, that I didn't like. Maybe it could have worked better if it was a cop film instead of a CIA film. But then again, the CIA part of the movie does work in pretty well with the film. So overall, I do think this is a pretty good movie. It is okay for a matinee, or if you want, you could wait for it to come out on Redbox or Netflix and then watch it that way. I'm gonna give this movie a B-. It's definitely worth checking out if you feel like going to the theater to see it, and that's all I gotta say for Central Intelligence.